It's time to put these bad boys to work. We've gotten about 4 inches of rain over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the pen where we train pigs to the electric fence is starting to get wet and sloppy. Over a month ago now, I cleaned it out, put fresh bedding in there, put about 30 yards of wood chips in there, along with 5 or 6 bales of hay. But right now, I've got 7 pigs in there, roughly 14 or 1,500 pounds of pig weight in that 4,000 square foot pen. And they produce a lot of urine and manure. Yesterday, I started putting these wood chips in the pen. I piled them up. They've been dumped out here by a tree company that's contracted to do work for our local power company. They should be bringing more over the next probably year or more. I've piled them up so that they can start heating up. I've got Rick's dump trailer out here with me today. Got some brake work to do on it. But while I've got it, I'm gonna keep putting wood chips in that pig pen. I put 4 loads in there yesterday. The pigs got out in the process, so I'm gonna try to avoid that part of it today. And I'm hoping to put several more loads in there today.
I always seem to underestimate how long this project is going to take me. The first day, I only got 4 loads of the wood chips into the pen. The battery on the dump trailer was incredibly low, so I had to charge it overnight and didn't want to run the battery down too much. Ideally, I'd load this trailer with a backhoe so I wouldn't have to keep connecting and disconnecting the tractor. But it isn't much more work, as you can tell. Having that 3-point hitch-mounted trailer mover makes things so much easier. I had to dump the first 2 loads in the front of the pen right across the gate. There was a lot of wet compost right there, and the tractor and trailer tires would sink down into that loose compost. I accidentally left the camera on here, and it was funny to watch the pigs fight over the pile of wood chip. Occasionally one would climb on the pile and investigate further. Pigs love these things. Anyway, that's all I'll show for the first day. The second day I added more than 6 more loads.
It seems like I'm surprised every time I try to put more material in this pen. Putting pigs in carbonaceous bedding is a lot of work. So far I've put 8 dump trailer loads worth of material in here, and I think it needs another 4 at least, and maybe more. The dump trailer is a 6x12. It's got 3-foot sides, and of course I'm piling it a little bit above that. So I'm assuming that I'm putting 8 to 10 yards of material for every load that I'm putting in here, and so far I put 8. On the positive side, my mother will be happy. My kids had my parents watching a YouTube video when we were cleaning out the pen, and they were playing in it. And at the time, when I cleaned it out and put more material in here a month or 2 ago, I was feeding a lot of paper sacks. I probably had 60 paper sacks. And I slowly put them in this pen, and the pigs that were in here at the time were gnawing them up and tearing them up. And my mother said, "Rob, it looks like trash in there." I said, "Well, it's just paper. It'll decompose. You need to clean that stuff up. It looks trashy." "Mother, it's a pig pen." Honestly, I needed the carbon material, and I didn't want to either have to burn or try to collect that many bags and take them to the house to haul away to the trash. There's a little bit that's not covered. That's some cardboard. It's not a paper bag. Every now and then in some of this material, I'll find some trash, like this Red Bull can here. But for the most part, it's fairly clean. Most of the material that I'm putting out in here is real stringy. It's not chipped real finely. You'll see things like those little twigs and sticks. And the stuff that is chipped up, a lot of it's got a lot of long material in here. But honestly, I'm not that concerned about it. It'll take a little bit longer to break down, but especially when I start putting more hay and that kind of material, it'll help aerate the pile and keep it from becoming so anaerobic. And we're approaching the time of the year where moisture is the primary problem. And when it's finally time to broadcast it into the pastures, if that stuff isn't completely broken up, it shouldn't be a problem. I hope the charge on this battery lasts. I may have to go charge the battery and finish it up tomorrow. I've lost track of the number, but so far I've put 10 or 12 loads of this wood chips pile into the pig pen, and I've got at least 4 more and maybe 5 more. But each of the last 5 loads, I've thought I'd only have 4 or 5 more loads left to put in there. Realistically, I've got enough in there for the time being, but we're about to get a bunch of wetter weather over the next several months, And I really want to build up a high layer of wood chips so that the water can soak down into the soil and not stay quite so high. As those wood chips decompose, they're going to just continue to settle and settle even further. And while I've got the forks on the tractor, I'm going to go get a couple pallets of some pine wood that we cut up to dry out for biochar. I've got the battery on the dump trailer charged, but before I can load it, I've got a few pumpkins that I need to go take to the pigs.
I was surprised these 2 or 3 week old piglets would be eating pumpkins, but they're used to them by now, and they are loving eating the seeds and even the flesh of these pumpkins. Anyway, we got the trailer cleaned out now. I left a few pumpkins in it, so I'm going to go load it, and I'm going to try to get those last loads of wood chips back into the pig pen. It's amazing to me how much steam comes from these piles of wood chips as I work through them. I've piled them up so that they can heat up and hopefully to dry out a bit before I bring them into the pen. But every time I take a scoop with a tractor, you can see just huge amounts of steam coming up. The bacteria is starting to get to work. There are a couple of things worth mentioning about wood chips like that. Pigs love having something to do, and especially if there's time for mycelium and fungi to be growing through the wood chips. Pigs will search through there and look for different things to eat. They're curious animals. It satisfies their curiosity, and they'll find little bits of morsels to eat. Most importantly, though, I've got an 18 to 24 inch layer of wood chips throughout most of this pen. That's really important as we go into wetter weather. As it rains, we'll have a lot of moisture going through, and it allows it to drain. Second of all, I've also got 20 or so bales of mulch hay that I can put into the pen to help absorb the manure. But if the bales of hay are lower to the ground and stay wet, they don't drain very well, they just compact. But if I've got wood chips in the pen and then put bales of hay in there, as the hay is shredded apart and as the pigs play with it and eat it and everything else, it helps the pen work much more effectively.
See, that's the kind of thing that keeps pigs entertained. The pigs have some clean bedding for their pen here. It's rained a couple times since I put the wood chips in here. Only about an inch or so's worth of rain. But that inch of rain and the compost that the pigs make can make all the difference in the world. And if there's not a whole lot of aeration, the pen will become really muddy. It's just one of those things that you want to make sure water and air can penetrate into this deep mulch bedding system if it's exposed to the rain. Now, if this were in a hoop house or something like that, it wouldn't matter. And apparently the pigs are enjoying them. You can see them rooting around now. I'll add some mulch hay in here, and the pigs will eat some of the hay. You can tell that gelt right there is going through there and tearing it up. But more than anything, she's just having fun. They'll eat the hay and they scatter it around. But that's what I like to see right there. I see that from time to time, but I rarely get it on video. She just happens to be showing out for you. When I was done, I dumped some charcoal that I'd made right here in this part of the pen. I just dumped it over the edge, and the pigs rooted around in it. They ate some, they came back, but you can tell that they've come back, eaten more of it, scattered it around some. They do enjoy charcoal as well. The first couple loads I dumped at the gate right over here, and then I put them in the next few loads in the back. I thought I'd only need 4 to 6, maybe 8 loads of material in here, and I ended up using 16. Those first loads, I started scattering and spreading with the tractor and the loader, but when I realized that I was going to put a lot more loads in here, I came on in and just dumped the loads, did not spread them much, and you can tell that the pigs have just rooted around and spread them significantly. What amazes me the most, once they find something they like, all 7 pigs will fight over one specific pile. There may be enough piles for each pig to have their own pile, but the pigs will all come to one pile. The 3 smaller pigs will try to compete with the 4 larger pigs. When they find another part of the pen, when they find another pile that they like and they're rooting around in there, they'll all argue and fight over that. It just boggles my mind sometimes the way pigs will continue to fight over some of the same stuff. That gilt rooting around in that stuff, they'll just occasionally root around a little bit, just like that little boiling is. He'll root around for a few minutes and go to a different spot. I've gotten all but this last little bit of a pile. It's probably 1 trailer's load worth of this mulch and put it into the pig pen. I had not planned on using nearly this much. And honestly, the pen could have used this, but I've got a separate project for that. Hopefully over the next few weeks and months, we'll get a lot more wood chips. We'll just have to see how that goes. But man, pigs love wood chips, and they will keep them entertained for days. What do you think of the pigs' interactions with these wood chips? You think they like them? They love them? What do you find to entertain your livestock as well? Y'all take care and have a great day.